They told her she wasn't fit for TV, fired from her first job, labeled unpolished and too emotional. But what they didn't realize was that the very qualities they rejected would one day turn her into one of the most powerful and influential voices the world has ever known. This is the story of a woman who refused to let rejection define her. This is the story of Oprah Winfrey. Oprah's journey didn't start with lights, cameras, or fame. It began in the dirt roads of rural Mississippi in 1954. She was born into poverty to a teenage single mother who struggled to provide even the basic necessities. Her childhood was marked not by comfort, but by hardship. She wore potato sacks as dresses because that was all her family could afford. But even in these humble beginnings, there was something remarkable about her. She had a voice that carried, a presence that commanded attention. At just 3 years old, Oprah was reciting Bible verses in church, captivating the congregation with her energy and clarity. She was nicknamed the preacher, not because she knew all the scriptures, but because of the power in her words. Her voice was her gift, even if the world hadn't realized it yet. But life didn't get easier. Her early years were scarred by trauma and abuse. She faced situations no child should ever face. Instead of breaking her, these experiences forged her resilience. When many would have been silenced, Oprah found refuge in speaking, reading, and imagining. Books became her escape, and stories became her shield. She dreamed of something bigger, even if she couldn't see it yet. As a teenager, Oprah moved to live with her father in Nashville. Her father, Vernon Winfrey, was strict, disciplined, and valued education deeply. Under his guidance, Oprah began to excel academically. She found structure, support, and the opportunity to explore her talents. She joined her high school speech team, participated in drama club, and soon her natural charisma began to shine through every stage she stood on. She entered a public speaking contest, won a scholarship to Tennessee State University, and began studying communications. While still in college, she got a part-time job at a local radio station. It was here that her love for broadcasting came alive. Her voice was warm, genuine, and authentic. It connected with people in a way that teleprompters never could. She wasn't just reading the news, she was feeling it. She wasn't pretending to be someone she wasn't, she was unapologetically herself. That raw authenticity stood out. Eventually, Oprah's talent caught the attention of television executives. She was offered a job as a co-anchor for the evening news at a local station in Baltimore. It was a huge opportunity, especially for a young Black woman in the 1970s. But when she walked into that newsroom, she didn't fit their idea of what a serious news anchor should look or sound like. They criticized her delivery. They said she got too emotional when reporting tragic stories. They said her look didn't match the polished, detached style they wanted. And then they fired her. Imagine that moment. You've worked hard to get your foot in the door. You've fought through poverty, trauma, and endless barriers. And when you finally get a chance, someone tells you, you're not good enough for this. Most people would have taken that as a sign to give up. But Oprah didn't. She took that rejection and transformed it into redirection. If you're watching this right now and you've ever felt like a door was slammed in your face, let me tell you, this is where many stories end. But it doesn't have to be where yours does. Hit that like button if you know what it feels like to be underestimated. Because Oprah's story was only getting started. After being removed from the news anchor position, Oprah was reassigned to a local daytime talk show called People Are Talking. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't prestigious. In fact, many saw it as a step down. But for Oprah, it was the moment she truly came alive. The format allowed her to be herself, warm, empathetic, curious. She connected with guests in a way no teleprompter could replicate. Her emotional presence, the same thing that got her fired, became her greatest strength. Audiences noticed, ratings skyrocketed. Within months, the show became a local hit, and Oprah became a name people didn't just watch. They trusted. She wasn't acting like a host, she was being human. And that humanity resonated deeply. This was the beginning of her transformation from a rejected newsreader to a rising star. But Oprah wasn't done climbing. Her talent soon caught the attention of producers in Chicago, who were struggling with a low-rated morning talk show called AM Chicago. They brought Oprah in as the new host. She wasn't handed a hit show, she was handed a challenge. But that's exactly where she thrived. When Oprah arrived in Chicago in 1984, she stepped into a city that didn't know her name. She walked into a studio where the cameras were old, the ratings were low, and the energy was flat. The morning talk show she inherited, AM Chicago, was struggling to stay alive. But what the network saw as a last chance, Oprah saw as an opportunity to do what she did best: connect. She didn't try to be like anyone else. She didn't try to copy other hosts. She brought her full, authentic self to the screen. She laughed when something was funny. She cried when something was sad. She asked questions that came from the heart, not from a script. Within months, AM Chicago went from being the lowest-rated morning show to the #1 show in the city. The Oprah effect had arrived. Her authenticity didn't just attract viewers. It created a movement. People saw in her a reflection of themselves, raw, real, and unfiltered. They weren't just watching a talk show. They were witnessing a new kind of storytelling, one that broke barriers and opened hearts. Soon, national television came calling. In 1986, the show was syndicated across the United States and renamed The Oprah Winfrey Show. Oprah wasn't just the host, she was the heartbeat of the program. The first episode aired to enormous success. Millions tuned in, not because the show had celebrities or gimmicks, but because it had Oprah. And that was enough. Every episode was a journey. From lighthearted conversations to deeply emotional confessions, Oprah navigated each moment with empathy, grace, and a fierce sense of humanity. She created a space where people could be vulnerable, where stories that were once hidden in silence could finally be spoken out loud. The ratings soared. The Oprah Winfrey Show became the #1 talk show in America, holding that title for 25 consecutive seasons. But it wasn't just about television. Oprah was building something far bigger than a show. She was building trust, influence, and impact. She launched her own production company, Harpo Productions, becoming the first African-American woman to own and produce her own talk show. She wasn't just in front of the camera. She was behind the scenes, making the decisions. In a world where women, especially Black women, were rarely given control, Oprah took it. And she didn't just succeed, she redefined what success could look like. But her rise wasn't without obstacles. With fame came scrutiny. She faced criticism, controversy, and pressure from every direction. But every time, Oprah stood her ground. She used her platform to address real issues, from racism to trauma, from health to spirituality. She didn't shy away from difficult conversations. She leaned into them. And in doing so, she became more than a talk show host. She became a cultural force. If you're watching this right now, let me ask you, how many times have you held back your true self because you thought the world wouldn't accept it? Oprah's story is proof that your authenticity is your power. If this message hits home, drop a comment below with the word authentic, because being real is what turns rejections into revolutions. Throughout the late 80s and 90s, Oprah's influence grew beyond what anyone could have imagined. She wasn't just interviewing people, she was changing lives. She brought survivors of abuse on her show, giving them a voice when society often silenced them. She encouraged millions to read through her famous book club, turning novels into bestsellers overnight. She inspired countless individuals to believe in their worth, to face their pain, and to heal. She wasn't just a media figure, she was a mentor to millions she'd never even met. Her emotional transparency became her trademark. When she battled her own struggles with weight, she shared them openly with her audience. When she experienced personal victories, she celebrated them with the world. She showed that power and vulnerability can coexist and that imperfection is not a weakness. It's a bridge to connection. As her show reached global audiences, Oprah used her platform for more than entertainment. She championed causes, launched philanthropic efforts, and became a leading voice in social change. In 2007, she opened the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa, providing opportunities for young women who, like her younger self, needed someone to believe in them. Her empire expanded into film, publishing, and eventually her own network. But no matter how big she became, her core never changed. She was still that girl who believed in the power of words, the strength of storytelling, and the beauty of authenticity. Decades after being told she wasn't fit for TV, Oprah stood on the world stage as a billionaire, a media mogul, and one of the most trusted and admired figures alive. She had built an empire, but more importantly, she had built a legacy. Her story wasn't about being born into privilege or luck. It was about resilience, authenticity, and the relentless refusal to let someone else's definition limit her destiny. The same woman who wore potato sacks as dresses became a symbol of possibility for millions. The same voice that was once dismissed for being too emotional became the voice that healed hearts across the globe. Oprah once said, "I don't believe in failure. It's not failure if you enjoyed the process." Every rejection, every criticism, every painful moment was part of her process. She didn't let setbacks silence her, she let them shape her. She turned pain into purpose, rejection into redirection, and doubt into destiny. And that's what makes her story so powerful. It's not just about Oprah. It's about all of us. Think about your own life for a moment. Where have you been told no? Where have you felt like you didn't belong? Where have you been underestimated, overlooked, or written off? Oprah's journey is proof that those moments aren't the end of your story. They can be the beginning. Because the truth is, rejection doesn't define you. Your response does. If you're watching this right now, let this be your reminder. The world doesn't get to decide your worth. They can fire you. They can doubt you. They can say you're not fit for something. But they cannot control the fire inside you. Only you can do that. So don't quit. Don't shrink yourself to fit into someone else's box. Stand tall in your authenticity. Because the very thing they reject today could be the thing that sets you apart tomorrow. Oprah's rise wasn't overnight. It was built brick by brick, moment by moment, choice by choice. And you have that same power. You might not have a talk show or a media empire, but you have a story. You have a voice, and that matters. Every step you take forward is proof that you're not defined by where you started, but by where you decide to go. She started as a little girl from Mississippi, born into poverty. She faced unimaginable hardship. She was told she wasn't good enough. And yet, she became Oprah Winfrey. So ask yourself, what's stopping you from becoming the greatest version of you? If this story moved you, take a second to hit that like button. Not for the algorithm, but to remind yourself that your story is still being written. And if you believe in second chances, in resilience, and in the power of refusing to quit, share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. Because sometimes a single story can ignite a spark that changes everything. You are not your rejection. You are not your past. You are not what they said about you. You are what you choose to rise into. And just like Oprah, the world may doubt you now, but one day they'll look back and realize they were watching a legend in the making. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning.